The Western genre has been somewhat of a dying breed. The only movies we get now are remakes like True Grit and 310 to Yuma. This is why Red Dead Redemption, the game series by Rockstar Games, is so popular. Red Dead Redemption 2 was the most anticipated video game by most upon its release in 2018. It was the next game from the famed video game studio Rockstar. They have been behind many masterpieces such as the GTA series, L.A. Noire, Max Payne 3, and of course the Red Dead Redemption game series. Red Dead Redemption won Game of the Year in 2010 and was praised by many fans because of all the animals the game had, along with how cleverly crafted the story was. Red Dead Redemption 2 had a lot to live up to. When I purchased the game during quarantine for the first time, it blew me away. Red Dead Redemption 2 perfected so many of the things in the first game, like hunting, graphics, story, music, and the vast open world. For those reasons, I will be explaining why I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is a masterpiece. One of the main aspects of the first Red Dead Redemption game was the hunting. The original game Red Dead Redemption spawned a bunch of followers like Far Cry 3 and Last of Us, and many more after Rockstar introduced the mind-blowing hunting. Rockstar took that and made it a whole separate part in this game. They introduced the legendary animals in Red Dead Redemption 2, and if you kill legendary animals, you can get some cool clothes and money. That was a huge aspect that the first game did not have. This game really improved upon. It was incredibly fun in this game. While playing this game, I spent a few hours just hunting. That's how fun it was, and this game also added fishing. So far, out of all the games I've played, Red Dead Redemption 2 has the best fishing mechanics I've played with. It is just so fluid and easy to master. The game also has included legendary fish with that. There is a really cool side mission you can do from a man named Jeremy Gill, who you can trade your fish in, which is just a big thing added to this game. It makes it so much more fun. He will take the fish you catch for money. This was sort of like the icing on the cake for the game. It wasn't needed at all, but Rockstar took the original hunting and made it something much more. Graphics are an obvious change from the first one because back then Rockstar didn't have the most advanced game engine. Companies like Ubisoft was topping them with games like Far Cry 3 and their Assassin's Creed series. Then Red Dead Redemption 2 came out and there was a clear winner. Rockstar had way better facial expressions than the Ubisoft. If you compare the facial expressions on the characters between Far Cry 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2, Red Dead Redemption 2 clearly takes the cake. The characters actually look like the emotions that the voice actor is portraying. You can say the first Rockstar game had faces was L.A. Noire, but this is the first game that really put it to good use with the new graphics. The landscapes are also mind-blowing. They're beautiful, just amazing landscapes in this game. You can be up on a mountain, look down, there's trees covered with mist, and it just looks amazing. It looks like you're actually looking at it. Just bizarre how realistic the graphics look compared to games like Far Cry 5 and Cyberpunk 2077, which actually came out after Red Dead Redemption 2. The story in the first game had some pretty good depth. It had some investing characters, a fantastic start, and many more great things. The story in the second game topped all those. The start to the game was in the snowy hills of the Grizzlies, and Arthur Morgan rides into the camera lifting his hat up. The speech Dutch gives at the beginning of the game started the game off really strong. The first 6 missions of the game are also really strong. Not all of them even involve shooting the whole place up. Only 2 of them do, but the other 4 are for the most part peaceful. That is what is so special about the opening to the game. The 6th mission is just you riding on a carriage, talking to one of the best characters in the game, Hosea. After the start, the game opens up. It's a fast world of things to do. Keep going with the story or explore the world. It is still sort of closed off because you can't do a lot of the things that you might want to do in the game until after Chapter 2. The story is just so investing the first time you play, you might not even want to visit everything else in the world. The story never really dragged on at all. Once I got towards the end, I couldn't stop playing. I was just glued to the screen. It was just so addicting because of what was going on with all the characters. You feel like you are the character you're playing as, which is Arthur Morgan. He has to be one of the best protagonists ever made for a game. He became such a likable character over the course of the game that it was just so sad to see him go once the game wraps up. Then the prologue starts, and it is sort of rejoicing to feel happy for John Marston. Once you finish the prologue, the game picks up right with the first one. That is nice continuity. Arthur and John aren't even the only characters you care for. As I said earlier, Hosea is one of my favorite characters, along with Lenny, Charles, Sadie, Mary Beth, Sean, and many more. I don't like Micah as a person, but as a character, he couldn't have been made any better. The game forces you to hate his guts. Even from the first mission, you feel like this guy's a screw loose. If you compare the story and the game to historical gangs like the Hole in the Wall gang, which consisted of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, you could also compare the gang, or just the whole story in general, to the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Most of the things that happen are around the same. It's kind of bizarre. They both rob a train at the start, and then start getting chased after by Pinkertons or lawmen, whichever one. And then one robbery goes terribly wrong, which forces them to leave. And the only difference is, while the gangs in Garma and Red Dead Redemption 2, none of the gang members die, as in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Then after they get back, the story just takes on its own path. The only thing that's the same is the structure, which is kind of bizarre. I never saw that. But overall, though, the story in this game is one of my favorite stories ever made for a video game. The music was something that surprised everybody. They had many marvelous original songs, also with a fantastic instrumental score that's the best in the game, period. It's one of the best scores I've ever heard. Captured the feel of a classic Western and the emotional scenes towards the end of the story. It also brought in sort of a new tone for a Western genre, and sometimes the songs even made me tear up at the end, in particular. If the music in the game does that much for a story, then it's definitely worth talking about. I will show you two scenes right here. One of them is with an original song, and the other one's with the score. Two scenes that really made the game feel even more special. Once again, the first one is for the song, and the second one's the score.
Many miles we walk, the many things we learn, the building of a shrine, only just to burn. That's the way it is. That's the way it is.
There's a good man within you. But he is right.
Get your horses ready. We have a train to rob. All right, we're moving out. Follow me. Okay, gentlemen.
For this type of game to work, it needed to have a good world that felt lived in, and that the player did something that would leave a mark there. The game knocked that out of the park. The game has many side missions that you can do that have their own story. They helped you with many paths you can take in the game, like fishing, card collecting, treasure hunting, digging up dino bones, and many more crazy things. I have to remind you that this is a cowboy game because of the vast array of things that you can do. If you don't explore, you will miss these quests. These are what makes the game so enjoyable. It adds to the feel of the open world. Also, sometimes you can be riding along a path and someone might need help getting venom out of their blood or something like that. I helped someone doing that thing, and later in the game, the person gifted me with a rifle at a blacksmith shop. That has never happened to me in a game before, and it blew my mind. And it also hasn't happened in a game since. The player also has the option to have low or high honor. If you don't know what the honor system is, it is when a player does something bad, their honor goes down, and when a player does something good, their honor goes up. It is a good touch that every game needs, in my opinion. Something carried over from the first game was the minigames. They include, but not limited to, poker, blackjack, five-finger fillet, and many more. It isn't a revolutionary thing, but it is something that is worth mentioning. The open world in this game is something like I've never seen before, and is something that every game needs to add. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a game that shook the gaming industry and still remains one of a kind years later. The hunting is something extraordinary, the story has one of the best character arcs ever, and the graphics are top notch, and the music added something, and so did the open world aspect. This is why I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is, without a doubt, a masterpiece.